What's up and welcome back to where it all began, the MCU in review. Of course, I am your host, Tim Geddes. Today, I am joined by the Big Daddy himself, Greg Miller.
Hello, Timothy.
The producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Top of the morning to you, Tim.
And I'm really sad to say Andy Cortez is not joining us
Dead.
today. The snakes, too many of them got to him, so he could not be here today, which is a bummer because I definitely wanted to get his thoughts on this, our rewatch of Deadpool, leading into Deadpool and Wolverine.
Wait, hold on, Kevin.
Oh, it's the C button. The C button doesn't work.
It's always stuck. It's always stuck.
Someone got to get him a new keyboard one of these days.
Someone should.
Not me.
Not
Not
you.
me.
No,
Not it.
I guess it's me. But anyway, thank you so much for your support. Of course, this is In Review, where each and every week we get together to rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. MCU is where it all began, and I'm very, very excited to have a big moment in the MCU in just a couple weeks with Deadpool and Wolverine. This week we're doing Deadpool 1 rewatch, next week Deadpool 2, and then, of course, we will be doing an In Review for Deadpool and Wolverine, aka Deadpool 3. Real quick, what's the hype levels? Greg, where you at? Deadpool, Wolverine?
I'm very excited.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100% excited.
Nick?
I'm very excited. Yeah, I was excited last week. Watched Deadpool last night. Super excited now.
That was the thing, yeah, like watching Deadpool last night, kind of being reminded of what we're getting. Like, oh man, how are they going to do this? What are the Disney jokes going to be? I think, you know, this movie has so much fun with the fourth wall or whatever, but I think this will be the one that really is going to feel the most like a Deadpool comic.
Yeah, very, very excited.
Oh, go for it.
Continuing. If you love what we do, please get the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube. It gets you all the shows ad-free. You can watch live as we record it, just like Benny B. Good, Langley M. Neely, Joey Radstone, and Calvin Perez are doing. We appreciate all of you so much. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs, Nathan Lamoth, Karen Lindner, Fargo Brady, Alex J. Sandoval, James Hastings, and Casey Andrew. Y'all are so awesome. And because of your support at that level, but even the lower platinum level, you're going to get the Andy and Mike Deadpool and Wolverine themed little necklace pendant situation, two halves of a heart that make a whole, as well as a custom friendship bracelet made by Joey Noel. So you can check all that out over on patreon.com/kindoffunny. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays and A Better Paradise, but I will tell you all about that later. Today we're talking about Deadpool, released on February 12th, 2016. Which is very crazy to think about how long ago that was.
Wow.
Directed by Tim Miller. Tim Miller, of course, also directed Terminator Dark Fate. He did the title sequences for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Thor Dark World. Remember the super awesome Thor Dark World stuff? And he's also the creator, showrunner, and producer of the animated anthology series Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix, for which he's received several Primetime Emmy nominations and awards. Going back to the Deadpool facts here, runtime of 1 hour, 48 minutes. The music was done by Tom Holkenborg, who of course is
funny name.
It is a funny name, but it's also
DJ Junkie XL.
DJ Junkie XL. Everybody.
Why would he go by that? I'm Tom Holkenborg. Be DJ Junkie XL till you die.
Till you die.
You know what I mean?
Really? Because he was like this. Guys, he did the same thing I did when I was trying to figure out what my Twitter handle was going to be, because I couldn't get at Nick Scarpino. I had to get underscore.
Nick Scarpino.
And he went back and forth, and he probably had a friend like Tim who was like, dude, I'm telling you right now, bro, DJ Junkie XL, that is it. And then he heard one asshole on the internet make fun of him. Was like, I'm going back to Harold Faltermeyer.
It's Hans Zimmer and DJ Junkie XL coming together to make
the
Batman v Superman.
Duo.
Come on, everybody. Martha. A budget of $58 million. $58 million, y'all. Wow. Return, $782.8 million.
That's a success.
Now, there's some facts here that are very impressive to me. Now, obviously, we knew that. We knew that this movie was crushed. It was the highest grossing R-rated film of all time at that point, which we knew and celebrated then.
What's usurped it now?
Joker.
Uh-huh.
I think that's it.
Okay.
But yeah, like still very, very big deal. But what is crazy to me is like $58 million is nothing. And to get a return like that for a superhero movie, very impressive. But I am most shocked by $782 million, making it the highest grossing R-rated movie, but only the 9th highest grossing film of 2016.
Wow.
Like, movies were popping off.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
That's not Endgame's year. That's not Infinity War's year.
No, that was just the year when all the superhero genres, like every superhero movie was like, oh, if you didn't make a bill, you're not even invited to the party anymore. Right?
Yeah.
The Fast and Furious movies were making bills. The DC movies were making bills.
I mean, dude, that's the thing. Deadpool coming in at 9 at that 782. Right below it, Suicide Squad at 746.
Ouch.
Above that, Fantastic Beasts #1 at 814.
Above that,
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Man, I would tell you what, not a great year for for those blockbusters.
Bump it up after that, The Secret Life of Pets. Above that, The Jungle Book, then Zootopia, Finding Dory. At #2, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
One and two
shout
are
out to
good.
Gary.
And then #1, Captain America: Civil War, which crossed that billion.
Man,
billion
people were
mark.
just really rushing to the theaters on these, weren't they?
They were doing a lot of stuff.
Shout out to Scoopy5 right now,
Yeah.
a member in the chat who says, back in college, I convinced my very religious coach and his wife to take our whole team to Deadpool, claiming it was a superhero movie. They walked out, lol.
Well, there you go. But yeah, very crazy numbers to look at there. And as we look to Deadpool and the Wolverine,
Scooby, how far do they make it? That's what I want to know.
Five minutes in max.
That's actually a really interesting thing. Like, I'm very excited to talk about this movie, but it's funny because this being so long ago that it came out, obviously we've done in review for it before, so we've talked about all the facts of like Ryan Reynolds like playing Deadpool and Wolverine Origins and how bad that was. Then that leaked CG that is essentially the opening scene of this movie getting out there that was like so impressive. We loved so much when we first saw it, and like for that to turn into a real project and to get where we are, I think only gets more impressive over time. And like the fact that we're about to see what we presume to be an awesome movie, something that the MCU really needs right now.
Awesome.
With Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine, it's like to see how that got here from that leaked video is like just so impressive. And on top of that, this was the first superhero movie that Gia actually liked, and this is like very early, but at that point, you know, we were in the thick of the cinematic universes and all of them happening. Like we had X-Men, MCU and DCEU all kind of like firing on all cylinders in terms of at least releases at that point. And I remember like she watched Ant-Man with us and just didn't get it, didn't vibe. She's like, I don't understand this at all. But Deadpool, she walked out loving. And I was so surprised by that because I was like, I feel like this movie's made for the me's of the world way more than it is the you's of the world. And I think that the box office and where we're at now kind of shows that there's something about Deadpool that makes everyone feel like they're in on the thing. And like they make jokes in a way that they make you understand you're supposed to know a reference here, even if you don't actually know the reference. And there's a power to that I feel like you combine that with the charm of Ryan Reynolds and like, goddamn, you're in for a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing rewatching this movie last night. You just forget how much fun they had with it. And you look at the era that it was made in, and it's interesting because I don't know that a studio would necessarily take that chance right now with where superhero movies are. I think we're like, oh, we got to go back to basics and sort of like rebuild all the good great will that we had with people. But back then, I mean, there's a moment in this movie that always shocks me, and I forget about it every single time. It's when fucking Stan Lee is
in the strip club,
the MC for the strip club.
Yeah,
and I'm like, how did you get them to sign off on that? How is there even how did that become a thing? But that was the risk they were willing to take. Now Deadpool means something completely different, which is like we're all looking forward to that as being like let's use this to keep the momentum going forward, hopefully into what we're going to see from DC coming out soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg, what'd you think rewatching Deadpool 1?
It was a quaint return.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, everything. It's, you know, we know it. It's ubiquitous with superheroes, and now with Marvel, and it is how are they going to integrate this? And it's going to be so cool to see him with Wolverine. To go back here and have those Hugh Jackman jokes, right? Of like, like when this was such
the magazine.
This is never going to happen. Yeah, the Australian thing about tickling the balls or whatever, right? I don't know if it would have been at the time. I'd have to go back and watch it. I feel like for me this time around, more of the humor missed than hit. But the ones that fucking crushed are just like, have fun at your midnight showing of Blade 2. Like, I fucking died. I was like, that's so good. And there's plenty of things in there that work, but this time I felt like it was more like, okay. But I guess to dial it back again, you were expecting it because it's going to be R-rated, but you weren't expecting it like how much are they leaning into it? What are we going to get here? Oh my God, there's titties and vaginas in this. Oh my, there's all this stuff. It's like, okay, like I enjoyed it. Still enjoy this movie. It still is the thing of like, man, Colossus looks so bad, I feel. You know what I mean? Getting to this helicarrier that's not a helicarrier, but could be a helicarrier if you want it. You know,
now it probably is,
probably
right?
a helicarrier now. Like, yeah, like there's so much to like, and it is one of those greatness from small beginnings. You talk about the budget here of what it became for 2, then again, what it's going to be all the way, for this one.
Yeah, and to me, that's why I love the movie. It is, I think, quaint is a great way of putting it, although a weird way of putting it, given all the references and all the crazy stuff they do. But I was watching it last night. I was like, the same kind of not dread you always get because we obviously live awesome lives, and the fact that we get to talk about these movies over and over again is fucking a dream come true. But I was like, how long was this one again? And it's so short. And you get in, you get out. By the time we get to the helicarrier, I was like, oh, right, this movie's almost done. They did not want to overstay their welcome. Nope. They didn't have the budget for it. And honestly, this movie's just about having fun, making crazy references that we all get now. And the humor for me was hit or miss back then. It was the James Gunn sort of problem where it was like Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like, let's hit him with so much humor that something's going to make him laugh.
Yeah, you'll remember it.
And Ryan Reynolds has that style of like of humor that I vibe with. But, the things that I laughed most at, I mean, I fucking die every time they make the IKEA references. I don't know why. I just think that's the funny, the Kuhn, him and Al, that back and forth, him and
really
TJ
good.
Miller, that back and forth, all that stuff. I love this movie, man. I'm so glad they were able to make it. I'm so glad that this one's hanging on, and I can't wait for the third one.
Dude, blown away by this rewatch. I knew I was going to love it. I loved this on a level that I'm like, man, I feel like this movie only gets better with age and only gets better the more that comes after it, where seeing how prophetic it was in a lot of ways of just, I can't believe the Hugh Jackman jokes, the way that they're making them. And it all comes back to Ryan Reynolds and the team cared back then and they care now. Yeah. Like they were referencing things because they knew we as an audience cared about them and latched on to Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, despite Hugh Jackman not being the right person to be Wolverine, the comic character. He was so good, it transcended that, where we are now rocking for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And on top of it, I just feel like watching this movie, I'm so impressed by the economy of story, by the budget, by the pacing of it, by the heart of it. There's so much more that this movie does incredibly well than a lot of movies even do good. And I feel like some of the more serious things, the concepts, the characters, and the love story, so much of it is so much better than the movies that are actively trying to just do that. And then this has all the humor. It has fun action. It delivers all the things that we're kind of looking for it to do. And I was just so impressed by the pacing of it. The amount of times it's able to have such a tonal shift from like jokey joke to like, this is some real ass shit, and back and forth without it feeling grating, is just very impressive. And Colossus to me looks exactly like he needs to. I like that they don't need to have everything be the most big budget looking, everything's perfect, because they could lean in on that joke. And it's not about how good it looks. It's about what those things are doing, what the characters are doing. And they have Colossus, X-Men character. And I know some people will get upset about that, but being one of the leads in this movie. And like that to me is awesome. Him looking perfect. He looks comic perfect to me.
Well, you know? Also have I mean, look,
I just don't think he fits into the scenes, is what I mean. And
totally.
When Supersonic TJ Negasonic Warhead is looking at him and stuff, like I'm like, it doesn't work there as a visual for me. I understand what you're saying.
To me, I love it though, and I can totally forgive it because of the one line where he keeps going back to the X-Men mansion and he's like, wow, you guys are the only two people here. It's almost like we didn't have the budget for this. We're like, obviously we're like, we don't have the budget for these things, but it's not about that.
Even the TJ Miller line, the Weasel line right at the bar of like, yeah, maybe we should go talk to him further the plot. And it's like he says it so softly where it's like if you're listening intently,
No, but I'm just, again, so impressed by this because I've always loved the movie. I've always loved Deadpool as a character. And I said this a little earlier, but like I just feel like these movies are made for the Tim Gettys of the world. Of like, I love the behind the scenes stories. I love the like meta stuff. I'm a big meta fan in general, in movies and media in general. But I think that the success of this as a story and pushing characters forward and understanding the worlds that it's playing with, both MCU, X-Men, DC, even like the Green Lantern stuff, like. Yeah. Ryan Reynolds is so damn good.
Having the Deadpool toy from Wolverine Origins is hilarious.
Yeah, I really, really had a good time watching this, and I was just shocked at how much I cared about him and Vanessa's relationship. And something that I am most impressed with is Francis the villain. Because every week we talk about Ragu Bagu and like Francis is, I don't remember where.
I wanted to pull it up. Yeah, he is C tier. Francis and Angel Deadpool are C tier. They are number 32 on our list of 60 villains.
Yeah, and it's like I always see that and I'm just like, oh yeah, he was bad in Deadpool, like whatever. And like I'm not saying he's great, but he is everything he needs to be. In the same way that I would argue the CG of Colossus, while not great, that's not the point. It doesn't matter. His dialogue and his model, like the big ass speeches he gives and everything, I'm like, this is all we need. And actually, I think that some of the callbacks and like what's my name, Francis, what's my name, and Deadpool like at the end not giving a fuck, I'm like, that's some good bad guy stuff. Like it's really all it needed to be, and we didn't need a menacing bad guy in this film.
And that's the thing for me is like Deadpool being sort of like a traditional anti-hero, right? Like he is not a good person, but he does heroic things, but he's also kind of psychotic. That all somehow works in the tone of this movie. Like at the end, could you imagine any other Marvel character sitting there and having another character be like, no, you know, this is the choice you get to be, and he just fucking blows his head off. I was like, what? You were taking too long. That shit just works because the humor and the style and the tone of this allows it to work.
And I love too, and this is something that I feel like I really noticed this time, is while most superhero movies, there's Spider-Man, there's Peter Parker, there's like the alter ego where there has to be some level of difference between them, which is the mask, which isn't. I love that they go out of their way, that a big theme of this film is him feeling like he can't be loved by Vanessa anymore because now he's different. But the reality is, more so than any other superhero, Deadpool and Wade Wilson are literally the same person. Like there is no difference between the way they act, the way they talk, their actions. It's just he's wearing a costume, but they are the same. And I think that is like kind of beautiful to like look at of how they told that story, but are also then able to do something that makes Deadpool a compelling character and Wade Wilson as well. Like this movie's special, man, and I can't wait to keep going. Something tells me I'm not going to like 2 as much as I did the last couple times, but I'm still excited for it. And this movie ending with the post-credits being the Ferris Bueller ripoff.
God,
so good, so iconic.
Homage, sir, homage.
Yes, it's just so good. And then him coming back and being like, oh, Cable's going to be in the sequel or whatever. And it's like, God, to be here now and be like, that happened.
Yeah,
wow.
That was great.
He's like, I can't wait for you to see who plays him. Josh Brolin, Thanos. Like, God,
amazing.
Man. It's so cool. We are going to get to the plot of this amazing film right after a quick word from our sponsors. And I'm going to be real. I've been on shows back to back to back. I'm about to eat some fucking nuggets on this show, everybody. Feel free to nug it up too as well if you want. This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with premium, polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair that I've ever worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go. GoFest is next week, and I'm going to be wearing my Shady Rays. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. But exclusively for y'all, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. You can head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Shadyrays.com, use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades.
This episode is brought to you by A Better Paradise. From the writers of the Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto series comes the new immersive audio fiction podcast, A Better Paradise, Volume 1 and Aftermath. Set in the near future, A Better Paradise tells the story of the ill-fated development of an ambitious but addictive digital game world project led by inventor and psychologist Dr. Mark Tyburn. As the advanced software they developed began to deliver unexpected and disturbing results, the team fell apart under strange circumstances and the project was abandoned. The game world and the super intelligence within were discarded, left dormant and undiscovered. Until now. I listened to episode 1 on my way to work today, and the thing that stood out, of course, are the performances, but then as an audio drama fan, it was the use of monologues. There's a whole bunch of talking here as it sets up the world that is not that far from us in the timeline and also not that far from us in the technology, which is disturbing, but I'm quite interested to see where it goes. A Better Paradise is out now and available everywhere you get your podcasts. Go listen today, and don't forget to follow A Better Paradise on your platform of choice to make sure you never miss an episode.
Without further ado, Nick, hit me with the plot.
Just call Greg Angel of the morning, Greggy. Just touch my feet before you untie me. Greg, what happened? Let me tell you, folks.
I've been getting haircuts a lot recently, leading into the wedding and stuff. And every time I'm in at Supercuts, that song comes on. I swear to God, multiple times. Pure, thank you so much. Pure haircut. And I feel like, is it like a marketing ploy? Like, are they talking to KQED, not KQED, K-Fog, and just being like,
get them ready. Remind them of Deadpool.
Yeah, it's
that
time.
would be very meta.
You know?
They're like, Tim's going to be at the Supercuts right now playing the song.
We got to get on him. But what an opening.
We start with that. We hear the song, and then we cut right over to Deadpool in a cab. And what a great way to just like, what is this movie? He's in the cab. He's taking the pamphlets out. We meet Dopinder.
Even before that, right? The opening credits and doing like some guy overpaid the reels. It was like, this is really fun.
That's right. We have this great back and forth to him and Dopinder, who I think he's in the second one, right?
Oh yeah.
No features.
I know what's fun too about this is one of the early versions of Deadpool and Wolverine, before they knew they were going to get Wolverine, it was going to just be a buddy cop road trip of them in the taxi going to different places. And that was originally what Ryan Reynolds pitched Kevin Feige.
It's so funny. These two have a great dynamic. This actor's name, who is in a lot of shit now, Karan Sani, I think is how you say his name. Yeah. Hilarious. He squeezes through the little door. They have back and forth. He tells him about his lady problems, and he's like, you got to do what you got to do, all that jazz. We're cutting back and forth a lot here, too. We meet Ajax Francis, who's a bad guy who makes Deadpool look gross. Then we cut over to...
makes him look gross. And my other thing, I talked this is
bad.
mainly at the end. They could have made him look a lot grosser. I think, again, it's a deal with budgets, and also, it's Ryan Reynolds, so whatever. But it's just like, at the end when he takes it off, and she's like, it's not that bad. In the comic books, he looks like a zombie, right? Yeah. So it's like, whatever. Same.
Yeah.
I still love him.
He's still
If you look
jacked.
like Deadpool, you don't look horrible, everybody. Don't let this false Hollywood narrative get in your way.
And I love it. We'll get there at the end, but I love the back and forth with her as well. Deadpool, of course, only has 12 bullets, and he's listening to Salt and Pepper's Shoop, and draws a picture of him killing Francis, and all of it, just him. And I think this might have been in the teaser. Or
this was the lead thing. It was
thing,
Hollow
right?
Batgirl, though, in the original.
Oh, this is perfect. He's just dangling his legs like a kid, waiting to do. You're like, what's going to happen? What's he going to do? And we're listening to Salt and Pepper's great. And then he jumps over the overpass right down into the SUV. Smashes through it. And we catch back up to where we were before. This scene is hyper violent. So if there was ever any doubt that this was going to be an actual Deadpool movie, that was completely dispelled for you probably when he took the, for me, it's always the cigarette lighter, burns the guy's fucking head with it, and then shoves it in his mouth and says, quote, "I've never said this before, but don't swallow."
Yeah.
God damn. Of course.
By the way, we asked earlier, and I was informed that the religious coach and his wife left 20 minutes before the end of the film. So they made it deep.
They made it real deep. Well, yeah, they made it through the pegging sequence.
Yeah, I thought
that
would
have been the one where I think they probably should have.
My little calendar girl.
Let's see. Word gets back, of course, to the X Mansion, where Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead are, and they're the only people in this mansion. I still pop for every time you see any sort of chrome or silver X doors opening and shit. I'm like, this is rad.
What a fun moment too. This was great. And then I've said this a lot recently on MCU projects, but another time Negasonic pops up and she's like, "Oh, I know her from Marvel Snap." And I'm like, "God damn, Marvel Snap.
Yeah. Awesome.
Greatest education process of all time."
We go back to the sequence where Deadpool now has 12 bullets left. He's counting each and every one of those. He gets shot up the butt and says, "Ooh, right up Main Street."
Right down Main Street.
Hilarious. This is, again, not the best action sequence we've ever seen. In fact, it looks a lot like the overpass where they shot Captain America, Winter Soldier. Remember that one where whatchamacallit, Scarlet, Scarlet Witch,
Black Widow.
Thank you. Black Widow has to jump down and all that stuff. That's a better sequence. That's obviously a bigger budget sequence. This is more fun. This is us having fun with Deadpool as he's mercilessly slaughtering these
counting
people.
Down the bullets.
He's got one bullet left. It goes through 3 heads.
Perfect.
You think he's killed the guy. He hasn't because the bullet slowed down so much it didn't break the skin. It didn't break through his skull. He pulls it out and it's like
sticky with his friend's brain matter.
So disgusting. And of course, he turns that guy into a kebab. At this point, we flash back to Love Story, which is 2
superhero
years ago. Wade Wilson, gun for hire. Weird sequence, but love this, right? If you think about the logic of this, you're like, wait, he broke into just a random person's apartment.
Ordered a pizza.
Nothing to do with this guy at all. Ordered a pizza so that this guy would come, so that he could threaten that guy and just fuck with the guy in the apartment for no reason.
That's Wade Wilson.
No reason. Hilarious.
That guy's an asshole. He's wearing affliction clothes.
I mean, come on.
You know what I mean?
Bejeweled. He's enough with the bejeweling, right?
Who's and who's kitty litter? I just shit him. Weird ass lines.
Ryan Reynolds, of course, great at the humor. Love the look here. It looks a little like Tyler Durden from Fight Club. So fun. We learn he's a bad guy, but he's not really a bad guy because he used to be a mercenary. He used to be special forces. Killed, one person per week for a year or whatever, however long he was in the special forces. But he's not that guy anymore. Now he just gets hired by people to like beat up other bad people, and it's good to go. He makes some point out of saying when he's stolen this guy's wallet or whatever, finished the job, threatening this stalker. That he's not a hero. She goes, "You're my hero." He goes, No, I'm not a hero. It's not what I am. I'm a bad guy who beats the shit out of other bad guys.
Worst guys.
From there, we go over to Sister Mary's home of the Mercs. I love this. I love this bar. I love the vibe. I love the stupidity and kind of surreal nature of this. Very much like the Continental and John Wick, where you're like, this wouldn't exist. Why would this exist? People would know about this. The government would come shut this down. But it's so fun that it's just where all the guns for hire go to hang out. And they, of course, have this thing called the Deadpool.
When you talk about doing comedy at places that aren't listening to you, sometimes I envision you doing comedy at this bar.
That was Delirium. If you've ever been to Delirium Edition,
I've been to Delirium.
That was this bar. That's the only place I've ever been to where I'm like, I might get into a fight tonight through no fault of my own. So anyway, we meet the bartender who's played by T.J. Miller. He's Weasel, I think was his character. And they have a friendship. And again, we love this scene. He sends over a blowjob shot to one of the Mercs to start a fight. Why is he starting a fight? Not just to start shit, because he was hoping he'd kill the other guy because he's got that guy in the Deadpool. Hilarious. From there, TJ Miller jokes on you. I'm gonna live to 102 and then die like the city of Detroit. Weird, great line, hilarious, sad. Marina Baccarat.
Sad.
Well, they bounced back.
An understated sad.
Detroit's back.
Detroit's doing better.
Yeah, and then we meet Marina Baccarin, who is Vanessa. They meet at the bar. She is a prostitute, or a sex worker rather, who had a tough upbringing. And this sequence is hilarious because they try to outdo each other and escalate to that.
This scene alone, I'm like, oh wow, this is more chemistry than almost any collection of people we've ever seen in these superhero movies. And like, there are other people in this league, but like, I don't know if anyone had this quickly hit this.
Let's have a conversation about these two individuals. This is fucking hot.
It's fucking hot. Like, all
of the sequences of the kinky shit they do, I'm like, maybe I should go wake my wife up and maybe you should watch this. Get a little education. Of course, he goes, I want to go put some balls in holes. Ski balls. That's how they do it. They go over there, and then they bang. And man, this is great. My favorite of which is Relax, Happy International Women's Day. She's pegging him from behind. No. Wade, of course, proposes with a candy ring that was up his butt, and Vanessa says yes. And man, we get one shot of Ryan Reynolds shirtless in this movie without the prosthetics on. Fucking looking shit. Good. He looks good.
Looking good. Were they born?
Good looking.
Born in labs. Now it's time to rank those abs.
Dude's always been jacked, always, but he looks especially good in this. What I like about it, and what I like about what he's kept, is that this is not in any way, shape, or form an achievable physique for me. But if you work out and are healthy, you could probably look like this without having to take any supplements. You know, he's not so jacked and outrageously big that you feel like it was unhealthy for him to get to this point. He's just very, very cut, very, very defined.
Svelte.
It's fucking gorgeous. Good for him. Anyway.
Were they born,
there it is.
Born in labs? Now it's time to rank those abs.
And he's still with us, even when he's not.
What's up, everyone?
Never.
Welcome to Rank Those Abs. He looks great in this. Actually, you know who else looks great? Francis. Dude, that dude's jacked out of his gourd, too.
Yeah.
We'll meet him in a second, of course, because Ryan Reynolds, Wade Wilson, unfortunately, faint. He has late-stage cancer pretty much everywhere. Lungs, prostate, stomach, brain, all that
All
jazz.
things you can live without.
All things you can live without. Of course, we get a little joke here that he's like... skipped ahead. Wade tries to leave Vanessa, but she won't let him give up. So he heads to St. Mary's to get cheered up by Weasel, who gives him the card of someone who might, quote unquote, further the plot. This is where we meet the recruiter. And I want to say this actor was from Galaxy Quest. And I think he was. I think he was one of the aliens in Galaxy Quest.
I think he was too.
And he was like, those poor people. Anyway, joke just for me. He wants to recruit Wade into a special program that will make him a superhero. But Wade's like, no, I don't want to do that. Yada, yada, yada. Of course, he thinks it over that night as Vanessa sleeps, watches her sleeps, and thinks, you know what? I got to do what I got to do to survive because I love this woman. Back we go to the overpass. Wade argues with Colossus, and Francis gets away. Pissed, Wade tries to beat Colossus' ass, ends up looking like a T-Rex, And this slide is the one that gets me every single time. All the dinosaurs fear the T-Rex.
Yeah.
He's got little T-Rex hands. Just, of course, getting his ass kicked here. Colossus handcuffs him, and Wade Wilson. Have you ever seen 127 Hours? He cuts his own hand off. Spoilers. Cuts his own hand off, flips onto a dump truck down below, and when Colossus looks, the hand is flipping him off.
I'm a big fan here, and there he is. Yeah, he was Teb in Galaxy Quest.
So good.
Big fan here of when him and
Were they born in labs? Now it's time to rank those abs.
goodbye. Then a big fan of him and Teenage Supersonic, where they meet. And it's gonna be something mean, or is it gonna be something whatever cutting? And then he gets all close.
Back me
You got me in a box here. I like that a lot.
From here, we get a little bit more of his backstory, the horrible circumstances, his entry to superhero dumb. Quote, don't just make me a super... this is where we get the line as they're wheeling him in. He goes, hey, whatever you do, just please don't make the super suit green or animated. That's the first reference we get to some of his failures in the past. Francis, of course, and Angel Dust, who was the character's full name, didn't realize that till yesterday, gave Wade a serum that will activate any mutant genes that he might have. But in order to activate those, he's got to go through pain first. A lot of pain.
And you know what? I'm realizing now, the ranking of Francis and Angel, Gina Carano. Now, that might be, I haven't listened back to my thoughts before on the other episodes. That might be what brings them down. And that makes sense on the ranking.
What's that?
Because Gina Carano sucks.
Yeah, she's no good in this. No, she's not
real bad. Sucks as a person in general, too.
Oh, you mean sucks as an actor in the movie?
Yeah.
Got it.
Like, her in this movie is bad. And, like, that character, do not like it.
They're like, we're not going to give you any lines, but you'll still be off-putting.
Yeah.
Like, you're still watching, like, something's wrong with how she's acting.
So now the ranking of them together, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Not to be, well, it doesn't really matter, but I will say they don't give either of them much to do in this. But yeah, Gina Carano,
but like
not
you
the
said,
best acting chops.
Francis, you're still like in on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fair.
I like it.
Well, they got a good chemistry here. And Wade, of course, he's like, oh, what's your real name? Yada, yada, yada. Of course, he figures out his real name is Francis by stealing his little tag.
Really great.
Which I think is cool because it gives him a little sleight of hand, tells us later, foreshadows that he's going to be able to do that. They beat his ass. He has a friend in here. They torture him, do all the things. And then he's like,
see my kid.
How are you going to get you to shut up? And he's like, well, there's not really much to use. The problem with round-the-clock, 24-hour torture is that you can't really escalate it from there. He goes, oh, yes, we can. They bring out the hyperbolic chamber, whatever it is. That sucks all of
keep you on the verge of suffocation.
And, of course, this works.
Suffocation, no breathing.
Is that Papa Roach?
Papa Roach.
Yeah.
Don't give a fuck if I got my young bling. This is where Andy would be helpful.
Yeah.
This is my last
It's such a weird,
resort.
and how I know, Kismet, you're in the you're in the right place. You hit deja vu. That's just like God's way of saying, hey, you're in the right place, right time. Last night we were shredding in the war zone. Me, Chris Anka, and Mike.
Yeah,
we've buried the beef.
It's done.
Buried
the hatchet. Squashed the beef. And when we get bored in between the in-game lobbies, I jump in Chris's car, and that's the one of two songs that plays.
Nice.
The only songs that I guess they have licenses for are the ones that are allowed to play are that and Meatloaf's "Oh, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that." All right, I digress. We're back to it. Of course,
Bat Out of Hell 2.
This thing works, and it expresses his mutant genes, one of which, of course, gives him Wolverine powers. He's basically Wolverine. He can regenerate, but with a twist, unfortunately, it horribly disfigures him. He is now scarred, looking like he has burns over all of his body, and he wants that fixed. But Francis is like, hey, man, I could fix it for you. But, I got a little surprise for you. We're not making superheroes here. We're making super slaves. We are going to put a collar on you, and you're basically going to work for us for the rest of your life and be our beck and call.
And this is part of the stuff that I want to give Francis a little more credit than I think I've given in the past. I like that he's always one step ahead of Deadpool in the leading him on with the carrot of like, oh, I can fix you. And so it's like he always has to keep him chasing him, and then we get the reveal later. It's like, I actually can't fix you. But I always love that he's ahead of him in terms of like fucking with him and keeping him at bay and in control in some way throughout the entire movie.
It works because Wade's not stupid. Wade's not a stupid person. In fact, he's probably the smartest person in most of these scenes, and we know that because of how he speaks, how he acts, his capabilities. And so to have someone that can actually string him along is actually pretty cool. Of course, Gina Carano's got the only scene in which she does this. For no reason, she's got the. Do we have a couple?
Yeah, she has the matchstick throughout that the I guess flashbacks technically. Yeah, she has the matchsticks.
Okay, I'd like to apologize to everyone out there. The Portland Kevin, Zach Johnson.
All right, they get it. You don't have to read through
I
everything.
apologize. He takes it, of course, puts it in his mouth, and he's like, say my name. He's like, oh, you got nothing to say. You finally shut up, yada, yada. Of course, he not shut up. He does the cool thing where he spits the match into his hand. I get anxiety because I'm like, if you wet the match, you're screwed.
That's why he's holding it perfectly still.
So he does the cool thing where he ignites the match with his thumb, throws it over the pure oxygen. Of course, everything ignites. I'm assuming he didn't know he was... You got to assume he didn't know what his superpower was yet, right? So he was probably just trying to end it all, like blow everything up.
Interesting.
Because how would he know? You don't know what your mutant power is going to be. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's light.
Does it? I think Angel says it. He does. He does. I remember this. He says like, "Oh, you can regenerate. Your body's healing as fast. Your body's healing the cancer as fast as it can grow, or whatever." He says that.
Oh, during the scene where he's like,
when he's got him in the tube and hey, you're an ugly fuck, and he's like, yeah, he explains it.
Cool. I missed that part then. This whole thing ignites. Reminds me a lot of the scene from V for Vendetta, where he's screaming and everything's burning around him. Of course, they get into a fire extinguisher fight. It does not go Deadpool's way. Francis beats his ass. He wakes up the next day in the ashes and realizes, wow.
His friend with the kid dies.
We don't care about
Who
that.
also looked like Riker's son from the previous X-Men ones. The one, William Stryker's son, who he's keeping him alive.
I thought you meant Will Riker from Star Trek.
Yeah, no, Stryker sounds like Riker's Island, where they put a lot of the bad guys.
Dan
Stryker,
tough.
Dan Riker, the
Loves
worst
Taco
kind of
Bell.
guy.
Taco Bell is good.
Yeah.
From here, we wake up, love this scene, like him coming out of the ashes, and popping up and being like, holy shit, I cannot be killed. From there, he heads over to Weasel to console him, who does anything but console him. He tells him he looks like an avocado who had sex with even worse avocado.
It was a hate flag.
It was a hate flag, but it's the only way to get catharsis.
Really good,
Which I think is hilarious. He's like, man, you got to wear a mask. And he's like, and you got to get a cool code name. He's like, ah, shit. And then he realizes, and I like the connection here. He's like, fuck, I just realized I put all my money on you for the Deadpool, and you can never die, so I can never get my money. And then we see the name Deadpool written up there, and he goes, Deadpool, yes. Captain Deadpool.
So
just
good.
Deadpool.
Just Deadpool. And then TJ Miller says, that sounds like a fucking franchise.
Really good.
Pretty cool. From here, I do love this. We've actually got this reference before. He's like, why do you wear red? Oh, because so the bad guys can't see me bleed. But we actually see that here, right? He starts wearing white, and then like the next day, it's just all covered in blood. And then we meet Al, who is in the laundromat. She's like, I forget what she tells him, some sort of trick to do that.
Club soda and lemon juice gets blood out.
That's what it was. This actor's hilarious.
She's
that
great.
plays Al.
So good.
They got a great back and forth.
We just saw her in something recently.
I
I want to look it up because
look it up.
It was
while I do the
surprising.
plot.
Did she pass away recently too? Or am I wrong about
Maybe,
that?
I don't know. He finally catches, of course, he goes on his 1 year killing spree where he kills all the way up to the ladder. Fun, cool little action montage here. Of course, that whole thing culminates with him finding the recruiter, finally, who gives him Francis, and we're all caught up to the bridge of Francis getting away and all that jazz. Wade heads home where he lives with his roommate Al from the laundromat. Let's see. And he's like, look, I got to find this guy Francis because he's going to fix my looks. And she goes, looks aren't everything. He goes, they are everything. Have you ever heard David Beckham speak?
So good. She is still alive, and she was in Fallout recently.
Ah,
Yeah,
she was the overseer.
Mm-hmm.
From here, Francis comes to St. Mary's looking for Wade and finds a picture of Vanessa, whom Angel recognizes. The clock is ticking. They're going to go after her. Weasel and Wade head to the strip club where Vanessa is currently working to warn her. And we get the Stan Lee cameo as the MC.
Great. So good.
The DJ, rather. No idea how they got that, but it's amazing. Francis, of course, got there first. He has abducted Vanessa, and he texts Wade to meet up at the shipyard at noon the next day. And he goes, great, I got to go. And then they get all the guns together and all that jazz. And TJ Miller goes, I'd go with you, but I don't want
to. That's good. That's good.
It's hilarious. So this wasn't a helicarrier, but it was a helicarrier, right?
I mean, that's the thing is like it's not officially, but they didn't say it one way or another, so it is. And like now that it's all connected, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's
Why
got to be right.
wouldn't it
Yeah,
be?
okay, cool. Well, they've set up operations in an old abandoned helicarrier in this like old junkyard. Wade, of course, heads to the X Mansion to meet up with Colossus and Negasonic to recruit them. And of course, we get the whole backstory where Colossus is like, "You'd be a great X-Men." It's like, no, he wouldn't. He'd be a terrible X-Men.
Yeah.
There's no way it's gonna happen. But I like that. And then
But
we get
Colossus is that traditional good guy superhero who
Yeah.
thinks he can only see the good in everybody.
that big house. Funny, I only see the two of you. It's like the studio couldn't afford more X-Men.
And,
Great line.
it's also a great tack onto a scene where we don't even see Colossus, where it's just him
It's
talking
just
to the
him
doorway
talking
to
to
her.
her, 'cause they couldn't
and
afford
he's
the
off
CG.
there. Yeah, it's just a great way of
You
doing
just
it.
hear him in the background.
I forget where it is in the movie, but there's the conversation about the mansion They're like, no, there's all the benefits to being an X-Men. He's like, what benefits? Like living in a place that blows
Was
up
it?
every couple of years.
Yeah.
Exploding what is it? Exploding House builds character.
Of course, they call Dopinder to come pick him up one more time. I just the dynamic here, the fact that Dopinder's just not scared of him at all, that they're actually just like best friends.
Took
right
his
off the rip.
advice and
It's
put
hilarious.
his romantic
Bonded with
his
the
rival.
advice.
truck, my
Yeah.
romantic rival.
Put him in the back, and Colossus is like, you can't do that. To which Wade
didn't say
replies, "This is no way to win Gita's heart back. I'm so proud of you." He's just whispering the little devil on his shoulder there. And then they get out of the cab, and we get X gonna give it to you.
Dude, there's something so brilliant about them showing up to the final fight via taxi. Like, it's just so Deadpool and just such a weird little thing. But them getting out of the car, X going to give it to you a hit, and it just works, man.
So good. Of course, he forgot his little bag, and he's like, "Oh, whatever. We'll do the old-fashioned way with swords." Takes the swords out, kicks it back in. X gonna give it to you. Here we get the action kicking off. Angel jumps down. We get the reference. He's like, "Oh, she's gonna do a superhero drop, a superhero landing." There it is, right there, superhero landing. She starts fighting Negasonic. She starts fighting Colossus. Her and Colossus get into it. We get the bit with her boob popping out, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't do that."
Which I thought was a funny bit.
I thought it was fun.
Again, I don't like her performance in it, but like I thought that was a funny thing.
We get the
Same
random
superhero landing. I like that too.
Yeah. We get the random Frank, like he recognizes one of the mercs.
Oh,
yeah, that
He's
was
like, "Oh,
really
man."
good. Yeah.
Kills him, of course. Spells Francis's name out in bodies down below, and he's like, "Francis, what you doing?" From there, he's got to get up. So how does he do that? Negasonic, of course, like catapults him up there.
Yeah.
Gets up there. They start fighting. He throws Vanessa into the hyperbolic chamber. Wade does the smart thing and throws one of his knives through so that she does not suffocate. They get it on. They beat the shit out of each other. And then from there, I think Negasonic blows something up so that she can kill Angel down below. All of the
So
support.
I think it's to get her off of Colossus, right?
Colossus, right? Who's being strangled now by the high tension cabling. That brings down the entire helicarrier. Wade, of course, puts Vanessa into the hyperbolic chamber. Not quite sure how this saved her, but he did. Throws her in there. She gets buried. Everything goes down. Everything seems to be fine for now. Of course, Francis is not dead. We get one more little attack by him. They fight. They beat the shit out of each other. Wade gets the better of him, breaks his arm, snaps his head, face, whatever. Pulls the gun on him, and this is where Colossus comes. He goes, "Wade, superheroes are made maybe with 4
Or 5.
sometimes 5 moments. This is one of those moments. Maybe you help a friend. Maybe you let an enemy." He just blows his head off. And he's like, "Man, you're just taking too long." And it's hilarious. And it shoots blood like all over Colossus's face.
He pukes
Oh,
everywhere.
no, that was different. There was one where maybe that was earlier where he shoots. Oh, this is when he pukes. This is when Colossus pukes. There was an earlier where there's a blood spray.
It's when he cuts his hand
He
off.
cuts his hand off and it spurts. And he's like, "Ooh, the money shot." So
God.
disgusting. Anyway, Colossus immediately throwing up on this is fucking hilarious. And that was it, man. That's there. Wade, of course, has saved Vanessa. She's like, "Okay, it's time to take a mask off." And he goes, "Okay." Takes the mask off. What does he have? He has a picture of Hugh Jackman from the magazine stapled to
What
his face.
An incredible bit. So funny.
Hilarious. He apologizes for leaving her. He starts in again about how horrible his life was in crack house. And she goes, "Oh, you lived in a house?" Which is hilarious.
So good.
Takes the mask off and says, "After a brief adjustment period and a lot of drinks, it's a face I'd be happy to sit on."
Come
and
on.
then the credit sequence goes. Love the animation here. And then we get to the final end of the credit sequence where we get to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the sequel where they're going to have Cable. That's it.
Dude, even the little animated Deadpool like playing saxophone and like dancing around.
Careless
It was
Whisper.
Great. Mid credits, whatever. Motion graphics. Love that stuff so very, very much. I have a question for you guys though.
Yes.
The Hugh Jackman, we're getting it to Deadpool Wolverine. I feel like the easy gut answer is yes, but let's really think about this for a second. Will we ever see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, all in the same film? All in the same scene.
Oh.
Yeah. Right? Like, I think Endgame set the bar for, holy shit, that's such a moment. And I think the only way you can do that again is to follow up on what we've seen from Far From Home, what people wanted, even though you didn't really get it from The Flash, right? But it is this idea of like, while these people are still around, why not do it? And Secret Wars should theoretically do that, right? As the payoff to multiverse saga that we're in.
Yeah. I'm hopeful.
Yeah,
And
I
I
hope so
believe-
too. I hope they don't fuck it
cool.
up. I hope they get it together and get there.
It'd be cool. The real question is, would that all fit tonally? I think the answer is yes.
Oh, yeah? I mean, I especially with what they're building towards at this point. But will it be good? That's another question, but we'll have to
Yeah,
wait
it's got to
and
be
see.
another portal scene, right?
Yeah.
Of everybody walking through, ready to fight whoever the big bad is, whatever they're doing.
So there you go. Deadpool. That was our rewatch. We talked about this earlier, but in Ragu Bagu, we do have him at the top of C tier. Which
second place of C tier.
Yeah.
Kree and Jude
Towards
Law
the top.
ahead of Captain Marvel ahead of them.
Which, yeah, and, you know, I give Francis the shout-outs, but the Angel character did not do it for me, so that feels about fair.
And again, they don't give him much to work with. You know what I mean? Hyper reflexes doesn't feel pain. All right, but you're getting stabbed a lot.
Yeah, you're losing a lot of
You
blood.
slow
here.
down a bit.
Yeah.
You even make a comment at one point like you wish you had his healing factor.
Yeah, you don't really.
Maybe you shouldn't be shaking this off as much as you are.
Yeah.
But he's strong too, so you figure that kind of accounts.
They don't
for
really
it.
talk about that though. I mean, just in good shape, or
He's just throwing people around like they're nothing. He's got that super strength.
And then just for funsies, just a fun little conversation here. I'm going to share this with you guys right
Okay.
now.
Share it with us.
I'll share stuff.
I'll send it to random so you guys can see it there. Just so you can see the list. Kev, I don't know if you have any MCU rankings that Andy's made for previous ones. If not, just for fun, we're not actually officially ranking this in. Just more conversation here. Where would we put Deadpool in the MCU rankings? Currently, at number 1, we have Avengers Endgame, and at the very bottom, number 49, we have Daredevil 2003. I mean, fuck it. Maybe we should rank it. Let's rank it. I put them in a red to like differentiate them. So we'll differentiate this way, but we will actually vote here for this.
Okay.
Where do we want to put it? Without even looking at the list, I want to say I think that this is very high for me. But when I'm being real about comparing it to very high in the MCU, I don't know how high it's actually going to get.
Can you give me access to that document? I'm
Yes,
not
I
signed
can.
into the right
Yes, I
Google
can.
account.
It's not me. I'm not Googling.
I'm Google.
I'm going to just unrestrict it. There we go.
Thanks, buddy.
Hold on. Boom.
Do you want me to pull it up? I also needed access.
No, it's kind of. There's so many of them. It's nice.
Boom.
To see.
Yeah, if you, Kev, could pull it up now, it should be there.
Okay.
You should. have
I was
access
trying
at
to
least.
also see if we had an old interview for the thing, but it's fine.
Because yeah, so we're like looking at here at number 7, we have Captain America, Winter Soldier, 8 Guardians 2, 9 Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, 10 Loki, 11 Loki season 2, 12 WandaVision. Where I'm talking here is this. Are you guys like, oh, it's way lower than that? Is that the right area?
That's where I'm sniffing around, trying to find a place for it. I feel like
Me too.
I mean, I always enjoy. I enjoy this movie. I enjoy it a lot more probably than any of the actual like series that they've put out. So Loki was fun, but I like this movie better. I would probably put it at 10.
Yeah,
I was thinking 9.
You put it above,
below Guardians, above Wakanda Forever.
I could see that. Wakanda Forever for me just hit on such an emotional.
Sure,
thing.
I'm not taking away from it. No.
But you know, I could see that as well.
Yeah, for me, I love Loki 1 and 2 so much that I just feel like they're too low. But looking at this list, it's like I do think that this is better than Black Panther 2. Do I think it's better than Guardians 2? I don't. Above that, it's not better than Winter Soldier. It's not better than Ragnarok. Yeah. Number 9 for me.
Me
Put
too.
it at 9.
There it is.
There we go.
Throw it in.
Deadpool.
Wow. I didn't think we were gonna do this today. I'm excited.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to us to be in the same area. That was fun, worked out. So here we go. I'm gonna put.
That's the thing about Deadpool. It's just it's so unique.
Honestly, that's the thing about not having Andy.
Mm-hmm.
We're just in harmony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I finally feel like we've taken the dead weight off our bat.
Exactly.
And we're going to start hitting some home runs now.
Exactly.
We're going to hit some home runs. Next week, we will return with Deadpool 2 to see where we end up with that. And then it's happening. Deadpool and Wolverine coming out in 2 short weeks. Thank you all for hanging out with us for In Review. It's been such a great time. I've seen so many people listening and rewatching the original MCU In Review leading into Deadpool and Wolverine. So that's a lot of fun. Getting a lot of tweets, seeing the Reddits and all that stuff. Y'all are the best. Thank you for that. But until next time, have a marvelous day.